Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to take a quick second and think about your day so far. You've probably fired off a few texts, maybe shot over a quick email, or, chatted with someone while grabbing your morning coffee. We are constantly communicating all day, every single day, with family, friends, coworkers, and sometimes even complete strangers. But here's the really fascinating part. While we are pumping out thousands of words every day, how often do we actually truly connect? Today, we're unpacking the architecture of meaningful interpersonal connection. We're going to break down the actual science of why some interactions leave us feeling totally seen and understood, while others just feel like empty noise.
So, it begs the question, are you just exchanging words? There's this huge myth out there that just because we're constantly typing and chatting, we're automatically building relationships. But the reality? It's kind of completely different. Take a second to really reflect on your own digital habits. Are those dozens of quick texts actually strengthening your bonds with people, or are they just creating a wall of digital noise?
All right, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The art of human connection. 2. Direct versus mediated communication. 3. The 3 pillars of meaningful connection. And finally, 4. Why connecting well matters.
Starting right off with Section 1. The art of human connection, going beyond merely exchanging words.
So, to get started, we really need to establish a baseline of what exactly we're analyzing today, because there's a very real difference between just general communication and what we call interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication is defined as an interaction where two people continuously exchange messages and influence each other to build, maintain, or improve relationships. Notice that unlike simply talking at someone, like, say, giving a speech or barking an order, the primary goal here is an active, continuous process of relationship building. It is a highly dynamic exchange. You're continuously influencing the other person, and they're continuously influencing you right back. It goes way beyond just swapping words. It's literally the foundation of human connection.
Moving on to Section 2, direct versus mediated communication. And spoiler alert, tech doesn't destroy connection. We hear this assumption all the time, right? That technology is completely ruining our ability to connect, or that modern digital communication is just inherently cold and impersonal. But guess what? The research says otherwise. If we compare traditional face-to-face communication, which obviously gives us direct, immediate feedback and rich emotional expressions, with mediated communication, which happens through our screens and devices, well, sure, mediated communication crosses physical distances. But it absolutely isn't automatically bad or cold. In fact, the source material emphasizes that it can actually build incredibly strong relationships. Mediated communication can be deeply personal and meaningful, but only if we know how to use it.
For instance, let's say you're exchanging some really thoughtful messages with a close friend on an app like WhatsApp. That is a perfect example of successful interpersonal communication. Even though you literally aren't in the same room, the interaction is deliberate, it's highly personal, and it directly serves to strengthen your bond. The technology? That's just the bridge. The connection is still 100% human.
Now, contrast that with sending a promotional bulk SMS to thousands of people at once. Both scenarios use mobile phones, both use text messages, but this bulk method, it's entirely impersonal. There is basically zero personal connection happening there. The crucial takeaway here is that the medium itself, the technology, is not the villain. It's the impersonal method that destroys the connection.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 3 pillars of meaningful connection. Let's look at the core attributes.
There are essentially 3 core mechanics running behind any successful communication. Number 1, quality matters way more than quantity. Number 2, mutual influence. And number 3, relationship management. Let's break these down.
So, Pillar 1 tells us that quality matters. Interpersonal communication is never simply about the act of talking, it's all about how we communicate. High-quality communication recognizes that every single individual is unique and absolutely deserves respect. Think about it for a second. You naturally communicate differently with your parents than you do with your coworkers or your best friends, right? Because every relationship is fundamentally unique, you instinctively adapt your tone. Like you might walk right up to a close friend and say, "Hey, how have you been?" It's super warm, casual, and inviting. It perfectly matches the established intimacy you have in that specific friendship. But when you're greeting a manager or maybe a principal, you'd likely say something more like, "Good morning, sir," or "Good morning, ma'am." It's crisp, it's professional. And here's the thing, both of these greetings are perfectly correct, but the quality and the tone shift completely depending on the specific relationship. Matching that quality to the person you're speaking to is step 1 to genuine connection. All right, Let's move to Pillar 2, mutual influence. Interpersonal communication is always a two-way street. It is definitely not about convincingly talking at someone. It's about participating with them. Both people have to actively affect each other's thoughts, feelings, attitudes, or understanding. The whole goal is creating a shared meaning together. So when you ask a friend something like, "How is your family doing?" you're actually doing two things at once. First, you're expressing care and curiosity, and second, your friend's response to that question is going to strengthen your understanding of them. Both of you are dynamically influencing each other in real time. That right there is mutual influence in action.
But what happens when that breaks down? Picture this. You're trying to talk to your friend in a wildly noisy restaurant, and your question is never actually heard. Because your message never reached them, mutual influence simply can't occur. The shared meaning totally collapses. And because of that, true interpersonal communication didn't actually happen. It honestly doesn't matter that the words left your mouth. If they weren't received and engaged with, it's just noise. And this brings us to our final one, Pillar 3, relationship management. This is arguably the absolute most important purpose of interpersonal communication. It's the ultimate goal of all these interactions we have, whether they're happening face-to-face over a cup of coffee or entirely online via Zoom. Effective interpersonal communication helps us build trust, understanding, cooperation, and deep emotional connection. It is quite literally how we manage the bonds in our lives. Just think about the massive volume of relationships you're actively managing every single day. We're talking family members, friends, teachers, students, colleagues, classmates, and all your professional contacts. Some of these develop primarily through face-to-face interaction, while others grow almost exclusively through digital spaces. But honestly, regardless of the medium, you are using the very tools of interpersonal communication to nurture and maintain every single one of those connections.
Finally, Section 4. Why connecting well matters. Let's talk about the ultimate impact.
So, why does all this actually matter to you?
Well, in today's highly digital world, where our communication happens everywhere from physical classrooms to countless online platforms, your ability to communicate effectively literally determines the quality of your relationships and ultimately your personal and professional success. It directly impacts how happy you are at home and where your trajectory goes at work. If you master this, you master your environment.
It really all boils down to this one core thesis. Great communication isn't just about speaking well, it's about connecting well. It has nothing to do with having a perfect vocabulary or being the loudest, most confident voice in the room. It's about respecting people's uniqueness, engaging in genuine mutual influence, and actively managing your relationships. So, I want to leave you with this somewhat provocative question to chew on. How will you change the way you connect digitally today? The very next time you open up WhatsApp, or sit down to write an email, or jump on a quick video call, are you going to just exchange words, or are you actually going to build a meaningful connection? The architecture is right there in your hands. Use it wisely. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.